You take someone out of those bed bugs are going to want a meal, and they're going to leave to find a host. So this is an example. This is a hospital in Australia, a children's hospital. And this is going to show you an infestation level over about 3 years. It started on the 6th floor. And you can see it went to the floor or across the hall. Now it's moving up above that room. And I'll just scroll through it. But you can see over time how they work themselves into every floor of the hospital. Within 3 years, the entire hospital is infested with bed bugs, every floor. So they're effective travelers. They can definitely hitchhike around. And the problem is they often hitchhike around before we know it. So how do we inspect? Okay. If Carrie always says that it changed the way that she travels, and I'll talk to you a little bit about that. But when I go into a hotel room, this is what it looks like before. This is what it looks like after. Now, this is usually when we're doing an inspection, but when I stay in a hotel, it almost looks like that. We have a client who has a hotel, and he tells me I can stay there whenever I want, and I just tell him he wants a free bed bug inspection because he knows I'm going to tear the room apart. This is one tip for you that Carrie definitely follows now. When you go into a hotel, promise me you'll never use those little luggage racks. So that's one of the most infested areas because people bring in their luggage that have bed bugs, and they put it on the racks. So when I go into a hotel room or a motel, I put my luggage in the bathtub. And then I look all around the bed, around the nightstand, and all those areas. And I keep my stuff in the bathroom because bed bugs aren't living in the bathroom. And so that's probably your safest place to put it. So you can see on an apartment that we did a treatment on our first visit we found just tons. So on the first follow-up we found 29. The second follow-up, these are about 10 days apart, we found 4. Third follow-up we found 4, and on the fourth and fifth we found 0. But you can look, it's the entire apartment. There's not a spot in the apartment that the bed bugs weren't at. And these aren't places you necessarily spend all your time, but they've definitely made it to those areas. This is an extreme infestation. This was at a dormitory somewhere in Washington, and this was the cause of, it came down to 2 culprits that were spending a lot of time in other people's rooms throughout the dorm. They were kind of being a little promiscuous, and it turned out that they were spreading bed bugs. So their popularity kind of waned after that. They were probably the 2 most popular people in the dorm at one time, but now once it found out that they were spreading bed bugs throughout the dorms, that ceased. And so but you can see how incredibly thick that aggregation point is. So they do emit pheromones right there that they all kind of come to a cluster at. So these are our harborage points, which we talked about. They can be in any of these spots. And these are secondary harborage spots. Carpet and baseboard, I've seen them 3 feet under the carpet, back away from the wall. Here's a chair. Someone wrote bed bugs on it. It was nice enough to write that on it before they dropped it off. If you were to ever dispose of something that had bed bugs in it, I recommend writing bed bugs on it and slashing it so no one could use it again. Pretty much destroy it. I was at a conference and someone had mentioned that they told me you need to destroy this. So they took it out on the front lawn of their apartment complex and lit it on fire. The police weren't too happy about that, but I thought that was a great way to get rid of it. Here's some other ones. Light switches and outlets they love to go into. Ceilings, back-to-picture frames, smoke detectors, electronics. Don't infest any of these items. So these are the tools we use. We use vacuum, hard tips. You can scrape off those eggs, get along the side of the seams. We use steam. Steam's very effective. It penetrates into fabrics and things that are upholstered. We always wrap a towel around our steam attachment because it spreads out the steam a little bit better. It also knocks down that force. The steamers come out really fast, and all you end up doing, it's kind of like the cold, is you get a scalded bed bug flying across the room who's now really angry, but he's still alive, you know. So you have burnt bed bugs, but they're still biting. The other thing is we use dry heat. Let's see. Right here, we can use heat guns on things that can't get wet. We also use insecticides. When we use insecticides, as I said, we don't have things that have long residuals. That doesn't mean we don't have materials that work well. We have materials that will kill them on contact, that have some residual, that work really well and effective for getting rid of bed bugs, but there's nothing to prevent new ones from coming in.
Why do you use them?
We'll talk about it in a second. We also use dust in the walls, diatomaceous earth, which is a natural inorganic product. It's a fossil, and that's a desiccant, so it absorbs that waxy cuticle in their exoskeleton, and they lose their moisture and die. Also, we can use aerosols. We can also use fumigation strips. Now, this is one of the coolest things of killing bed bugs and also monitoring for them. These are climb-up interceptors. This lady invented this with like a dog dish and a Tupperware. And it's become this. And so what it is we used to use glue boards, but bed bugs don't tend to like to crawl into glue boards. And so what they'll do is they'll crawl up the outer side of this, which is rough, and they'll fall into this inner well. So if they're trying to get on the bed, they'll fall into that and they'll die. And if they're coming off the bed to go off and hide, because when you use these, you want to move your bed away from the walls. So the only way to get off the bed is to climb down. They get into this inner well, and they can't get out and die. And there's diatomaceous earth inside that. Other thing we use are these two traps. This is the one that we put in a little tray right here that's sticky that they fall into, and it smells like an armpit. It smells really bad. We use CO2 right here that puts out about as much as 2 people breathing at nighttime, and then it has a little heated spot where they climb up. We have this one. I never use it because the salesman told me that it could blow up. And I said, that's like the worst sales pitch ever, so I'm going to use this one. And so we let the other branch use that one. To finish up, this Dr. Wang at Rutgers